Well, going online, whether it's for work, to scroll through social media or browse online, even do stuff for school, it's something most of us do each and every day.
But like everyday life, there are dangers lurking in the form of cyber criminals, and the FBI reports an alarming increase in the impact of fraud and hacking.
So in honor of Cyber Awareness Month, we're getting the lowdown on how you can stay safe. Joining us right now is the USAA's Vice President of Fraud Education, Blythe Figurelle. Thanks for being with us here on Arc Maine this morning. First of all, Blythe, by the way, who is the most vulnerable to online schemes and attacks out there?
Well, scammers are really indiscriminate in who they're targeting, so anyone is really susceptible. But our elderly community is certainly more vulnerable to falling victim to scams, as well as the other end of the spectrum. So our younger generation who are more engaged in the digital environment.
Can you talk about some of the newest scams that you're seeing and how we can spot them?
Yes. So, this scammers are really adept at changing their disguise and their story, but there are some common characteristics that underline a lot of the scams. The first one is unexpected contact. So they're reaching out through text messages, email, social media, phone, in order to reach you. And then secondly, they are really trying to exploit your trust. So they are calling or contacting you from a organization that maybe you do business with, from a law enforcement agency, and sometimes even as they're posing as your friends or your family, in order to get you to trust them. And then also they really are pressing a sense of urgency. So often they'll have time-limited offers, or they might claim that there's some type of emergency that needs to be handled right away. And they're doing this to cloud your judgment. They don't want to give you the time to think. And then their stories often play with your emotions. So they're going to try to incite fear. And that fear could be fear of missing out on an investment opportunity, or it could be fear of a negative consequence. But all coupled together, it's really coming down to a scammer is trying to convince you to provide your personal information or to separate you from your money.
Yeah,
so it's important to be mindful.
Yeah, you were talking about how scammers are luring potential victims in nowadays. How are criminals managing to impersonate organizations and people? Is this being done through AI now?
So they are able to impersonate or spoof a phone number. So when you receive a phone call, you might feel like you recognize that phone number. It might come from someone that you know, someone that you talk with. So it's important never to trust caller ID. Remember, their way in is to establish trust with you, and they're doing it by posing like people that they are not. And then they'll couple that with the sense of urgency or emotional manipulation in order to get you to do what they're asking.
What are some more things that we can do to be more proactive and help to prevent becoming a victim of this fraud?
So the first thing you want to do is make sure that all of your accounts are protected with a strong and unique password, something that is different for each account, and then enable things like two-factor authentication, which is sort of like a second lock on your door. You can avoid using public Wi-Fi to access any banking transactions or do any online shopping. And then very, very important is to always stay cognizant of who is contacting you. You want to be aware of the signs that we just mentioned that signal a scam. And one acronym that I like to use is STOP. This is always stay cautious. Make sure that you take your time. Don't feel rushed. Only trust verified resources that have been independently verified by you. And then lastly, make sure that you're prioritizing protecting your information.
So what if we fell for it? What should people do if they feel like they might have been compromised?
If a viewer feels that they've been compromised, it will be important for you to immediately contact your bank. The sooner we know, the more we can do to help. And then if you provided any of your online password information, it's also important for you to immediately change your passcode in order to protect your accounts.
Can you kind of just also put into perspective how big of a problem this is right now, as far as, I don't know if you know the number of people who've been impacted by this, but certainly it continues to grow as we continue to go online.
So fraud is a growing concern that really affects millions of people every year, and the financial impact runs into the billions. So for context, I would say in 2023, U.S. consumers reported losing upwards of $12 billion, which is a 14% increase over the prior year. But I would say equally concerning is the emotional and psychological toll that it really takes on victims, and this is why it's so important that everyone understand the actions and the tips that they can do in order to put up the best protection against it.
Finally, what resources are there out there that can help people out?
So certainly you can visit USAA.com/scams in order to learn more and to learn how to stay protected.
Blythe, thank you so much for the insight and really good tips this morning. We appreciate it.